very fortunate. We're a town of 3,000 people, and you know, we have almost 200 kids that from pre-K through 12th grade that are a part of our program. And there's probably not a lot of towns that can say that.
We have a dynasty here, and we're pretty well known. Canton's pretty well known. Our kids work hard for every trophy they bring home, and they're dedicated. And you don't see that a lot, especially with that many kids.
Our youth program, we have 89 kids registered this year. Our boys program, I think they're 25, 26 kids. And then our girls program is right around 45 girls in the middle school to high school.
It's turned into something probably more than I ever dreamt as far as the growth of our program. We used to refer to it as the train, right? The train's heading down the tracks and it's picking up steam. If you want to be a part of it, you know, there's people leaning out that are ready to grab you and throw you on. But if you didn't want to jump on the train, you just got left behind. But a lot of people jumped on.
I feel like when we wanted to be great, you know, and we always seemed to not have it figured out. A lot of it started with my dad building a training center basically for wrestlers. Once that was developed, we had the foundation, and then we were able to buy some wrestling mats, and when we're not wrestling here, we'd wrestle at the fitness center, and you know, we just kept building on it, and the kids started to buy in. They loved the atmosphere, they loved the challenges. I mean, I wanted those kids to walk in there and look at, this is Canton Wrestling. I mean, when you look up in that wall, these wrestlers, everyone was training there, and they need to know, how do you get to the top? How do you get your picture on the wall? You better be training. It doesn't come for free. You know, it's not this is the hardest sport there is. You better be working. Just to show off those legacies of all those kids is pretty impressive. You know, and that's not just to show them off, that's show off to our youth kids. When they practice every night, you got to give kids role models, give them something to look up to and go, man, I want my name on that wall. Paul Wong was on my team in high school. He's the first state champ back in '95. And I coached Josh Montgomery and Brett Jarman, who were the second and third. And every day we'd always say, how many times is your name going to be on that wall? They come in here, and that's the first question I always ask them. How many times are you going to be up there under state champs? And I'm going to be up there. I'm going to be up there. You know, and that's where it starts.
There's no recipe for success. I mean, it's work. You know, you got to do the work. You got to be willing to do the work.
We'd had state place winners, state champions, but never really went for the team aspect of things. And it started to go up around that mid to late 2000s, and it's just kept rising.
Yeah, I mean, if success is banners and titles and medals and stuff like that, yeah, we've been very blessed and fortunate, and you know, won a lot of material trophies and things. Yeah, we definitely have. But
would you measure success in a different way?
Absolutely, yeah. I think all the coaches in our program, and that's why we've been so successful, is because our train of thought is we're not all about wrestling. Wrestling is just a tool that allows us to help kids grow, help kids be challenged, help kids learn that what hard work is, number one, and then you know that even though you always put in the hard work, doesn't always necessarily equate to getting your hand raised or being on top or, you know, those kinds of things.
Of course, everyone's going to say win the state title. You know, we're 4-time state runner-ups, and that would be great. But Coach Ask and I just talked about this the other day. And for us, the goal, I think the most important thing on the girls' side for us is at the end of the day, we want wrestling to be the most positive part of their high school career. We want it to be a positive experience for the girls, and we want them to grow as people from it. If we get wins along the way, fantastic. You know, that's great. But at the end of the day, we want them to like look back and be like, that was the greatest time that I had when I was in school, and I'm a better person for it. And that's really for us in the girls' room, that's really the most important thing above the wins and the records and the state titles and all that stuff. For us, that's, I would say, the most important thing.
I don't know if there's any other sport that teaches you more about what you can become, you know, if you stick with something. It's a really hard sport. I mean, there's It's all sorts of aspects to it. You know, you got to be, you know, in really good shape. You know, there's weight cutting, there's the stress of being a good student, and all those athletic abilities you got to have. But a lot of it is in your, you know, in between your ears, your mindset.
And you can't just run a ship during the season. That ship has to be run 12 months a year. And that's what we fixed. And that 12-month a year of running that ship has brought us a lot of success.
The support of our school through, you know, helping me go to events we want to go to, building this beautiful practice room. Within 10 years of me, I think, roughly being here, we built this new room. Yeah, just a lot of moving gears and a lot of people heading in the same direction.
The hard part is when you rise to the top, and we've won countless state championships now, to keep at the top and to keep rising, and somehow we continue to do that. And I think that goes into the community as well. Community support for all sports here in Canton is outstanding, and the wrestling, you know, team is no stranger to that. So the community rallies around the school, and the school rallies around the community.
When I got here, somebody handed me a checkbook and said, you know, here's your spending account, you know, for odds and ends things. And now we have a full-fledged nonprofit wrestling club with a board of directors. We raise, you know, a lot of money over the course of the year through fundraising events to help our wrestlers.
Our goal with our booster club is to make sure that there isn't a kid in our community that can't go out for wrestling because of money. We want our athletes to have every opportunity we're around to help these kids monetarily, even if they can't personally afford it. That's our goal.
They want to keep it going. They want to be involved in something that's big, and this has been huge. So, yeah, it just keeps growing.
We do so many different fundraisers. We host a golf tournament every August. We do a winter raffle, which we're in the middle of now. We do a youth tournament. We do a youth dual tournament. We do a dueling piano fundraiser. We host a Super Bowl board, and then we have a lot of members in our community that when they need help with something, they know the wrestling program will always show up.
They do a lot of things. We've had floods the last 10 years, and the wrestling team was huge 2 years ago when we had the 20 inches of rain, and the wrestling team came out and they filled sandbags, and they hauled sandbags all over town wherever they were needed. They hauled furniture and belongings out of basements that were being flooded. They took turns cleaning up we had a dump site for everybody that lost so much. It was a community thing, and they took turns cleaning it up and keeping it clean. And yeah, they're there for people. They were there doing probably more than I know. So yeah. We're very, very proud of the kids they have a sense of community.
You know, between Coach Ask and myself, we just kind of took the lead on first the sandbagging, and then, you know, the flood waters receded, and now we've got a bunch of houses in town that have water damage and need cleanup. So the determination was made that, hey, you know what, we're already organized, let's just put our number out there and have community members call, and we just kind of worked the phones and kept the addresses, and we sent wrestlers to the houses that needed to be, and we got other community members with pickups and trailers, and you know, they just followed the wrestlers around, and we loaded the trailers. They hauled it up to the drop-off site, and we just worked till we were done.
They support us because we support them. You know, we have things that go on in the community where we're always willing to help them. We want to make our town proud and our community proud, and having the support from them makes it easy to want to do your best for them. I can't even think of a better place to wrestle. The support system we have here is part of our foundation.
It reflects back on our coaches. You know, I'm not there every day. I don't interact with the kids as much as they do. Our coaching staff has instilled the work ethic and the community service into these kids, And you know, it all goes to them and their leadership ability. You know, our coaches they're not just calling kids and having kids show up. They're standing right next to them, hauling furniture out of basements. They're tearing sheetrock out. You know, we have a coach that lives out of town, and he's bringing his boys down, and he's walking through the mud right with them. I mean, it's a family, and that's what really matters.
That's where we are most blessed, is that we have a lot of people inside of our wrestling program that are a light in these kids' lives, and we're helping give them opportunities for them to shine and become lights of their own. Coach Swanson was at a middle school JV meet, and they took a picture at the end, you know, and it's him with a bunch of JV and you know, middle school guys, and they're next to some big bulldog on the wall, you know, with a funny face, the bulldog, and they were all making a bulldog face and flexing. I sent it to him and said, man, you don't know how happy it makes me to see that, not because of double legs and single legs and half Nelsons and, you know what I mean, all the technical part of wrestling. It's because he's a light, and those other guys are a light in these young people's lives.